So today we are going to take you through a process that we were taken through by some people that trained us, and it really unlocked loads for us. Really changed the game for us, um, and it's all about money today and something called our financial thermostat. So, as Craig will tell you, if you've got a thermostat in your house, right, and it's set to 18 degrees. Patty, I'm talking Celsius here, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Because
if
that
it's
would be
set
hot.
to, yeah, if it's set to 18 degrees, it doesn't matter what you do. If you whack your heating like on full, your house comes up to 18 degrees and then it all shuts off, right? And your house starts to cool down again. Uh, until it gets too cold, and then your boiler comes on, and the heat rises, and it's until the thermostat kicks in, and then it turns it off again. And it doesn't matter what you do, you can tell your boiler to be on 100% of the time. You can open all the windows in the house. It doesn't matter. You'll just keep getting to that same basic temperature as long as everything's working right. Now, the same thing happens with our money and our finances based on where our financial thermostat is set in our minds. Now, what happens there is we can start earning loads and loads of money, and the money starts to pour in. But then our financial thermostat kicks in, and our brain starts to self sabotage us. So it starts to affect the way we're pricing. It starts to affect the way we're collecting invoices, the way we're talking about sales to people. And it does it in all these weird, unconscious ways
Oh,
that,
and we'll start buying all sorts of
oh,
stuff
and we
that we
start,
don't need
absolutely, we
just
start
to get rid of the money.
buying stuff or booking holidays or whatever just to
Or
get
somebody
rid of
will
the money.
scam us, or a family member will ask for a loan that we give them that we never get back. We will find all these ways to get rid of money because our thermostat's been hit. We're like, okay, we need to now get rid of all this money because we've got too much. So then you find ways subconsciously of losing money.
So it's all about where our financial thermostat is set. Now, our financial thermostat is set by our beliefs. Because as I'm sure all of you on this call actually have heard us say a million times, the equation of our actions is really, really simple. And the equation of the results we get are really simple. Our beliefs lead to thoughts, our thoughts lead to feelings, our feelings determine our actions, and our actions determine the results we get. So, our financial thermostat is absolutely set by our beliefs. And so that thermostat also affects our feelings, our thoughts, and therefore our actions and results. So we want to be able to set the thermostat where we want it for our future and the results that we want. So to do that, we've got to make change. And the first step of any change is being aware of what's actually going on. And most people don't know to do this, and B, don't spend the time to actually sit and analyze what beliefs are going on, where they come from, so that they can actually start doing something about it. Because as I know all of you on this call have heard us say a million times as well, beliefs are not true, they're not false, they're not wrong, they're not right. They are just opinions and perceptions, which means they can be changed through work. So today is going to be all about us getting to the bottom of where your financial thermostat is set right now and why it's set there. Okay? So if we turn to page 2, if you've got a workbook, if you haven't, we're going to prompt you. And I want you to take just 5 minutes to, without thinking too much about it, to complete the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes on page 2. So I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes, and we'll prompt you if you haven't got a workbook to do
Can I
this.
type all this white, do you reckon?
Possibly. No, it's
No. Our whole tech system has collapsed in a heap today.
So I'm going to start the timer now, and I'll prompt you on each box as we go through. Okay, so timer starting now. So if you've got a workbook, you can start filling it in. The first box is money is, and I'd like you to complete that sentence, please. Money is. The next box is wealth is. Complete that sentence. And the next box is wealth is. And the next box is rich people are. And the final box is, again, rich people are. Take it away, Jenny. Pick a victim.
Joe looked all poised and ready. I know you've done this before with us, Joe, so you can share.
All right, it's quite simple. I've gone money is freedom to choose, money is power to choose, money is handy to do stuff with. And then the next one, wealth is a variety of things, not just financial. The next one, health, family, friends. People are just people. I work with a lot of very, very wealthy people. They're just people. And the last one was rich for different reasons. Some of it was inherited, some of it was earned, some of it was a bit of both.
Good.
Cool.
Excellent.
What did you have, Ros?
So mine were quite interesting actually. And one I know you will pick up on. So money is independence, money is freedom. To me, I see money as positive. I love seeing it grow. I just love building up savings and then using that money for something. And the next one was really interesting, but I was honest, just wrote it straight away, wealth, and I put not possible for me. So there we go on that one. Wealth is subjective. Rich people are hardworking. So a bit like Joe, because of where I live, it's quite an affluent part of the borders, Scottish borders. So I have friends that, have money or family, old money, new money, various things. And they are just normal people. So the next one is normal people, but often judged is something I put for rich people.
Good.
Good.
That's good.
Hattie.
Okay, I have money is power, money is security, money is the ability to make choices. And then wealth allows for flexibility, to have a predictability. And then rich people are freer of worries. And rich people are able to be more powerful or have time for more clarity.
Interesting.
Yeah, good. Craig, can you remember yours off the top of your head? Don't worry.
Remember a couple of them. Money is a tool. It could be your greatest asset in your business. Money is freedom. I like that. A few of us have thought the same. And money is useful, I think was the last one I thought. And then wealth is for your family. That was my first thought. And for your future. And then what was the last question?
Rich people are.
The first thought I had were helpful to work for. That was me.
Like that.
I think that's good. Audience. I've not heard that one before, but I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, rich people are my target audience. Like that's you to a T. They absolutely are. That's good.
Brilliant. Love it.
Have I missed any?
No, you're good. So an important thing with our beliefs. So these show your some of your core beliefs, these statements. One of the things about beliefs, as we've already said, but I'm going to keep saying it over and over again today, beliefs aren't wrong. They're not right. They're not good. they're not bad, but there are beliefs that support us in growth, and there are beliefs that hold us back in growth. Now, there's not many come up there,
No.
I would say, but just before we move on, I'd like you to put a little X next to any box that you think is a belief that is not going to empower you in growth.
I also really want you to dig deeply, honestly, and if there are any negative stuff that you didn't put in because you want to be really positive, please put the negative stuff in.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we can come to these things and we go, oh, I know I need to be positive about money. So I'm just going to squash that negative belief about it to the side, and we'll just kind of sideswipe it and ignore it. And I'll bring out the rich people are really cool and really hardworking. When actually they're not all like that. And part of you is going inside going, yeah, but some of them are a bit dickish. Then that's true. But they may be overriding, and you may have kind of pushed the positive stuff to the front because of where we are. And it's really important in these exercises that we don't do that.
So Joe has put in the chat, I believe all of it, but I'm detached from it somehow. Does it feel like your answers have come from someone else, Joe?
I don't think so. I think there's a discrepancy because I feel wealthy. Wealthy and rich are sort of I feel rich and wealthy in lots of ways. But I think when I'm doing these exercises, I need to think about it just financially.
I think for this, you do.
Yeah, and that's what I keep getting wrong. Because I'm not work orientated or money through work orientated, I keep seeing the bigger picture instead of just the money.
Yeah.
And that's probably what keeps me down.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thought, Joe. So yeah, for today, just think about money and see what
just money
results you get.
Yeah.
Because I do think that you are very genuinely a person who will be happy no matter how much money you have or haven't got.
Sort of, yeah. I still want more money because I want the freedom it brings.
Yes.
It's not bringing you these top bits where your financial thermostat is at the moment is not bringing you the freedom, all the power, all the stuff that you want at the top, the freedom to choose. It's not bringing you that, because actually that thought process of I can be happy with or without it is blocking that very much.
It is. I've got to stop being happy with money.
And in terms of growing financial success,
yeah,
on its own, that I can be happy with anything is actually a limiting belief.
Yeah, I know.
And that sounds bizarre because in a normal, whole world, holistic context, that's a really positive, empowering belief, right? But in terms of cash only, it's now a limiting belief, yeah. Because it's stopping you going for more.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So over the page then to page 3. And we've got 4 boxes here. We're going to take them one at a time. Okay, so we're going to give you, let's see how we get on with 1 minute. We're going to see how we get on just with 1 minute on the first box, which is the reason I can't or may not become extremely wealthy are, list as many as you can in a minute.
Why might you not get wealthy financially?
And stop. I actually gave you 2 minutes for that, not 1 minute, because I was waffling on. Okay, Patty, let's come to you first. Why aren't you going to become wealthy?
All right. Okay. It's probably a lot of reasons, but okay. Believe in experiences over a larger bank account. So I'll spend it over, not doing anything. Value helping people is more important than affording things. Trouble with demanding boundaries, which kind of plays into the last thing I wrote, which was I need to allow for my family's needs not to count as much as my own happiness. And then trouble finding clients who value my talents and helping them.
Good. Great. Roz.
Mine are quite wordy, but some of them are actually, I'm trying to say similar to Patty, but I feel like you worded it better than me. So I've got time constraints, how long it takes to actually make my products, juggling so much. I sometimes sabotage myself time-wise, which we've spoken about before. Not good at getting word out about what I do and what the type of leather work and my expertise. So it's a bit of confidence. Also, pricing, although I'm getting better with that, but with bespoke orders and stuff like that, I need to be better with the sort of, designing time for something that's bespoke. And why I set up the business was so that I'd be there for my kids. And although they've grown up, they still seem to, well, you always support your children, but that's kind of the focus of the business and why I set it up. And I find that hard to kind of move on from that. And then with my mum getting older and supporting her, and going for bigger events and workshops, and courses and stuff. So some of it seems to be a lot around time. It seems to be a lot of it for me.
Yeah, time and skills. So that's actually quite good in some ways.
Yeah. Something I can do. I can do something about that.
Yeah. Joe, why can't you or may you not get extremely wealthy?
Well, this is what immediately came up, and then I always regret what I've put down because it always seems like a load of rubbish. I said your conscious brain is going to try and stop you. That's what's going on. Well, I've written it down.
Good.
I've put not ruthless enough because I have been walked over by the people that are prepared to be ruthless. I don't really want to be visible, and I'm laughing because I've put so many I don't want. And then I've put don't have the drive, rubbish with tech, need to rely on others too much, which I'd hate doing, lost my creative flow, don't like mixing or networking. And then after what Rosalind had said, really, I'm stuck in a 35-year family mindset that I'm totally struggling to break free from. So it sort of ties all the others up, really.
Yeah, good.
Everything for the past 35 years has been always to do with the children. What's best. And I fitted in. I can see it, but it's really hard to break free from.
Yeah. Absolutely. We are talking today for many of us about 30, 40 years of programming and conditioning.
Yeah.
So and we are working today on the first step, which is awareness.
So Craig, why might you not get wealthy?
Extremely
wealthy.
Yeah, my gut feeling is just from a little bit of a setback around the last couple of months of just feeling like the economy and just the general feeling in the UK of hold on to your money instead of splurging at the minute, and all my staff struggling without needing. So all my lads and people who work for me want more money. Everyone I work for want to pay less. So it's just that bind of economy that I'm feeling the pinch at the minute.
Yeah, that makes sense. Total sense.
Governments as well.
Which
affects the economy.
Which is, it's really, really common thought process about why these things might not happen.
Yeah.
It's not unusual. So I think there is a bit of a divide somewhere within this between men and women, in that I think women very much have the give to the family, the kids come first, the grandchildren have to be seen to. I think that's a very natural female oriented hold back belief. And there's two ways it can go. One is I have to be really, really, really rich and hustle like mad because otherwise I can't afford to put a roof over my kid's head. So you get those women who very much like make it big being a single parent because, and then you've got people where I'm much more like you guys are, where we've had a slightly different, we've had a support system of some degree around us, whether it's a husband or parents or something. And we have had that emotional time to give to our children. So for us, it's about the emotional time to give to them. So we override that above the money and we leave ourselves by the waitress. And it's not to say that the women who are really driven and making the money aren't being emotionally connected to their kids and all that. It's not saying that. It's just, I think we do veer off in two different directions a little bit with how the money mindset bit of it works.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally agree. I think that's there are two kind of
absolutely, yeah. But everything you've said, you've written down there, guys, is great and a great sort of subconscious outpouring. Really good. Next box, then, another 2 minutes. Some of the possible negatives about becoming rich or going through the process of becoming rich. Go. Okay, and come back to us. Over to you.
Patty.
Okay, so the first part of that is basically I don't see anything negative with being rich. Like I've had money and I have not had money, and I don't find any negatives with being rich. So, but getting there, though, I would say the process of getting rich, I think a huge thing for me is I always feel like in order to earn respect, I have to be explicit all the time with what my skills and experience are. I always find I think finding the resources I can afford to grow or to find help, and always balancing family needs breaks my own flow.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Joe? Joe.
I'd put changing who I am, being taken away from what I love, doing what I love is not where the money is, possibly, and just bloody well one more thing to do. Another thing to take on.
Another thing to get rich.
I love that. Damn that getting rich on the task list. Jesus.
Craig, you laughed. Tell us about what you said.
I was laughing at that last one. That was a great one. How you worded that. But no, my thinking is just time. I could be a lot wealthier than I am if I didn't prioritise what I want to, which is I want to give my two young kids my time, so I never work any weekends, and I don't work in the mornings until they go out, and I'm free for them when I get in. I know it's a lot of to be rich and wealthy. There is people who might say, give yourself 6 months of working that bit harder, a bit longer to get yourself to that next step. But it's everything comes at a cost. So the kids are only 2 and 5 for this period. So I'm doing well, I'm building, but I know I've turned down opportunities in the last 6 months that the odd bit of regret comes in. But I think overall I'm doing the right thing for my family.
So there we go. You know, they're from a male perspective, basically saying exactly what you guys have said, is that Craig's prioritizing time with the family instead of taking on some things that could lead to the wealth. What about you, Ros?
I've come from a different angle. Some of it because I think I've kind of witnessed some of it, but it's where people that are rich, so it's being judged, and therefore people would look at the prices of my products and say, oh, they're high because you've got money, you've made them that high, and that I've just plucked a price from anywhere for my products, and overcharging people, and that I'm in the money in the business just for money, which I'm very much not. And then having people that are maybe jealous, and then the sacrifices and having to justify my skills as well, mixed in there. But then that can be positive with, it's not justifying, but showing your skill can just clear that one. But yeah, they were the things I wrote down.
Okay. Firstly, hi Sam, lovely to see you on screen. We'll catch up with you in a sec. So Ros, what would it say about you if you were just in it for the money?
It depends. I mean, if it's just so that I've got money for the freedom and the independence, then that's okay. If it's where people feel that I'm ripping them off, then I wouldn't like that, if that makes sense.
So one of the things I want you to really pay attention to is it was very important for you to tell us that you weren't in it for the money.
Yeah, yeah.
So those things can really catch us out when we say we're not in it for the money.
Yeah, but you do need the money to still continue to do it and to live.
Yeah.
But it's like a ceiling, it's a certain amount, so it's okay. Yeah. I suppose I want to show it's not just for money, but
it's statements like that that definitely are setting your thermostat. Like, so we will, and quite a lot of what you said in that list was about how you are perceived. So I just want you to look at that, or just have that in mind as we go forwards. A lot of that was how you're perceived. So
yes,
it was a swap.
Yeah.
Sam, very quickly on the off the hoof here, the question that they just answered for us there was what are possible negative things about being rich or going through the process of becoming rich? So have a think about that.
All right. I don't have an answer for now because I'll think about it.
Yeah. So there's the workbook in the group. I don't know if you've seen it, but in HQ, there's a whole workbook with everything we're going through today, which you can download later. Okay. Matt's going to put it in the chat so you've got it as well. But we are also, because not everybody's got it, we are giving the questions verbally. So have a think about it while we're saying them. So the next question is, my greatest worries and fears regarding money and wealth are. So what are your greatest worries and fears about
money and wealth?
Having money and wealth. And you've got 2 minutes.
And come back to us. Over to you, Coach Jenny.
Let's start with Ros.
You'd start with me. Well, I have to put in there how I'm being perceived. So worried about that side of things. Then it sort of shifted to more of the lack of money, which is interesting. It almost like puts me in the middle. So I worry about lack of, and then seem to have reservations about having lots of money. So not having enough money to live a more relaxed life. I don't know why I felt relaxed, but that seemed to be the word that came to mind. And then more in a business sort of way, not having enough money for the business to grow because it's really sort of plateaued sort of the last few years. Even though I've spent less time on it, still has made the same amount of money. So I want to really kind of grow that. And then the long-term position with money, sort of, not that I'm near retirement yet, but pension and the sort of living and have enough for holidays and that kind of thing. So it's more the lack of rather than the wealth.
Yeah.
Sam, what's your biggest worries about money and wealth?
Oh, so my biggest worry is having relationships that are transactional, and because when I start having a lot of money, I get a lot of people's attention, and I don't know if these people actually have my best interest at heart. Maybe because of the money I have, and those relationships might be transactional. So that's my worry.
Fake. They might be fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good thing to be aware of. It's really important to have that as an awareness. Joe, what's your greatest worries about money?
First of all, I put depending on the amount you have, using it wisely and ethically, not wasting it, and also what's I think what Sam was saying in a way is if you've got a lot and then people maybe start asking because they know you've got a lot, finding a way to say no so that you don't end up back at square one. If you see what I mean.
Yep.
I mean, my head is thinking loads of wealth there, where you could set up charities and you could support really good charities and all that kind of thing. So that's where using it wisely and ethically comes in. But people might ask that you for it if you don't really want to give to them. So
yeah, and that's something you can practice now, because how many times do you get stopped in the street for a charity where somebody wants your money? It might only be a fiver and not 100,000 or 200,000.
Yeah,
but you can practice that now because they're still asking. So the response is the same. I mean, me and Mark get asked all the time, don't we? And we just say, well, we support our two charities through the business, and that's who we support. But yes, it is a really valid concern that a lot of people do have, is that, and let's face it, the famous multimillionaires out there do get letters every single day asking to save the cat, the dog, and the, long lost auntie. So that they do get those every day, and it probably will happen. Craig, I'm going to ask Patty first, and then you can take yourself off mute and get ready. Patty.
Okay. The main thing is not having it. That's a fear. Not having enough on my own. I think I kind of was raised in a way that you would have a partner and you kind of can help each other and like do it at least together. And I more recently actually have much more of a fear and yearning to just make enough money to take care of myself and my children on my own, regardless. And then I would say a huge part for me is not having it soon enough to be emotionally more present and less stressed while my kids are at a certain age that they are developing what safety and security looks like around money. That's something that I'm very aware of like the financial worries that we have been experiencing are going to negatively shape who they are, and like how can I help mitigate that / teach them,
and it's great because you can send them on courses like this.
Yeah, exactly.
You can get like when we've been through this whole process tonight, Patty, you can do it with your kids. Like, and you can see what beliefs are starting to form already, and you can then then you can chat to them about actually what that means.
And it might not be now, because my kids don't listen to me now, but I always keep thinking, I've got all this in my pocket for later when they come back and say, Mum, and mine are pretty rubbish for money. So mine, nearly 20-year-old, is terrible. She called me today, Mum, I'm really out of money. And I would love to show her all the tools. That's why I'm always so happy when Sam turns up on the call, because if you learn this stuff young, it stops you having to get to your 30s and 40s and us all go through this process now.
Right. My oldest today, she just texted me, and so she's in school for film animation, and she's trying to get a double major in chemistry. And she just texted me, and she's like, Mom, do you think I should start a shoe shining business? It's like, okay, she's definitely like spreading out her skill set like me. Whereas my son thinks, despite us having a warm apartment and always being fed and having nice clothes and having things, he thinks we're poor. He thinks we're incredibly poor. And so like this mindset stuff is, I'm incredibly aware of it. And I know if I could be in a better place with having the money I feel secure with, it's going to help me teach them how to stay secure and how to have the right mindset. Whereas right now I just feel clouded and like all over just worrying about it.
Yeah.
The last set of processes we're going to do today will be quite interesting for you because you will be able to take that back to what your kids like experiencing.
Right.
Craig, apart from the fact that you might be worried about having enough money to not have to sit in the dark, what are your greatest worries and fears?
I mean, there's some very articulate and very good people on this call, and I feel I could just say as above. Everyone's covered everything that I feel needs saying, so I'm happy to move on to the next bit. But generally, just lack of or spoiled kids are the two things that come to mind.
Cool. Yeah. Great. So next question then, we're going to just do 1 minute for this one. The worst thing about money is 1 minute, go. When we come back out, I'll tell you what my 3-word answer to this was when we did the process for the first time. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. And I'll tell you what my 3-word answer to this was the first time we did this process with our trainers: not having it.
Exactly.
Right, quick fire. So, Joe, what's the worst thing about money?
I put not having enough to be free and to choose.
Yeah. Rosalind?
Worrying about the lack of it and where the orders are going to come from to provide the money.
Patty?
There seems to never be enough, and it feels like it's the one thing that keeps me from moving forward, and it shouldn't be.
Sam?
Money can buy everything.
Yeah. So is that the worst thing about money?
Yeah.
Craig? I'm not sure he can answer at the moment. He looks a bit... right, we're going to move on.
Okay, so now we are going to get you... Craig, I know you've already done this. I don't think I've seen on the system that anyone else has. So in the workbook, there's a link, and I'm going to copy it into the chat as well, so you can just click on. I would like you to go to that link, and we have an online tool. It's going to ask you 72 questions, and I'm going to ask you to answer them as quickly as you can. You put in your details, and then it will take you to a set of questions, and you just score from 1 to 10, and I can't remember which way around the scale goes for each question, and then hit next to go to the next question. At the end, it's going to tell you the percentage score of your financial thermostat currently. So I'd like you to go to the tool, do it as quick as you can, and come back with your score. So any score less than 100 means that you've got some disempowering beliefs in there,
which is very normal.
Oh, like no one literally has 100%.
And if they do, they're lying. They've just filled in stuff that they think they want us to hear. It's not the truth.
We've been through a very, very intense 2-year money mindset training. And still, at the end of all of it, we did the test again and still didn't quite hit 100%.
Yeah, no, when I did it again the other day, I was still like not even in the 80s, because there are some things that I go, might be true, might not be. So I give it a 5, because I'm like, might be, might not be.
Safety, yes, quickly. Okay, a lot quicker. Don't know why it's taught you this, but.
So,
Joe, have you got your percentage yet? Are you still?
Yeah, yes. 72.
Oh, that was your answers. Oh, okay.
Yeah. What was yours, Patty?
Mine was 79.
79. Okay, so all of you are in a reasonably good bracket. A few of you, I think, will probably even be in the green bracket, which is good. And that is good. So I want to just reiterate again, no wrong, no right, no good, no bad. And no, I want to also point out, even when Craig's talking about the state of the UK economy and things, also no fact, no fiction about any of these. Okay, so all just beliefs. And so we know that going forward. So it's just beliefs that empower us or beliefs that hold us back and keep us stuck.
And the government, the economy may have a bearing on our money, but there are a huge amount of people who make a lot of money in a recession, and a lot of money based on government decisions.
Yeah, when it gets to
so it's about taking responsibility for our own money situation based on those things as well.
Yeah. And I just checked the official so that we could deal with exactly that. Like, I just checked the official stats for the UK for currently, and at the moment, inflation is easing, and we're in a period of growth. So it doesn't. So despite what the media might be portraying, which is largely where a lot of beliefs around the economy come from, the official stats are actually that we're in a period of slight growth with easing inflation, which should be good news. The UK media won't portray it like that, but we are, according to Goldman Sachs, we are not due a recession in 2026 in the UK currently, based on the current figures.
And a huge number of millionaires are generated during a recession.
Yeah.
And some of that is about not the day-to-day of running and owning and facilitating a bathroom business, for example, but they have invested, saved money, and it's done really well. So it might not even be their day-to-day job that creates the wealth. Quite often, it's not the day-to-day job, it's where they've invested the extra money that they do have during a recession. When the recession ends, that all then can skyrocket. And that's how millionaires are made a lot of the time during a recession, not because they go to work every day and do a job. So that's where sometimes our mindset has to be shifting, is where can we invest money in those times that can help us for the day-to-day job, not to be the thing that we're relying on for making the wealth.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that's missing, isn't it? With they should be teaching kids that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Absolutely 100%. So we've done a lot about what we call the first step of change, which is awareness. So we're aware now of a lot of, particularly with those 72 questions that you've just done, we're aware now of a lot of our beliefs around money. And it maybe is the first time you've even written down what you really believe about money. And something, like, I can't explain it scientifically, but something strange happens when we start writing stuff down. Our brains go into like a different mode around things. So it's always really good to write stuff down. So we've now got a load of beliefs that we know we've got, And we can appreciate that some of them are supporting us and some of them are setting our thermostat a little bit lower than we might like. So now, in order to change it, we move on to the next stage of change, which is understanding. And we need to find out how we've got these beliefs. Because once we understand that, we can decide what to do about them. So on the next page, page 5. Oh, sorry. So let me tell you the 3 ways beliefs are created. That's probably helpful. So beliefs are created through programming and conditioning throughout our lives. And this happens through so many different ways, but mainly 3 modes. So verbal programming, which is things we hear. And a lot of verbal programming comes from, well, a lot of all programming and conditioning comes from when we were a child. But it can still keep going. Like the things that Craig's staff are telling him about, you know, what a struggle it is from, that's verbal programming. That's stuff he's hearing, and his brain is building belief patterns based on what he's hearing. Like he might have the radio on and there'll be a lot of news about the UK economy or whatever. That's verbal programming. So verbal programming, anything we hear. And the more trusted the source, the more we're likely to believe it. So things your parents said, your grandparents, teachers, when you were growing up, even like, and I it's pretty, when I started to analyze this for myself, here's a really annoying one that I came across with lots of digging, was that I've been verbally programmed by a cartoon or a series of cartoons when I was a kid called The Raccoons, right? Because I loved the raccoons, and the evil one in the raccoons was Cyril Sneer, who sat in his big castle with his big pile of gold, and he destroyed the forest to build more gold. And that had verbally programmed me to believe that anyone who accumulated money was evil, was a Cyril Sneer.
And it's the same with The Simpsons. You've got, who's the guy in The Simpsons?
Burns. It's
Mr.
very
Burns.
simple character, yeah. And even films, like, you know, there's a lot of 80s films about like Trade Up and things like that. Even The Wolf of Wall Street, you know, these are all programmings that
James Bond, a lot of the baddies are really wealthy. They've got these massive complexes that they're hiding all their evil stuff in.
So we're getting this conditioning, this programming all the time from every direction. So we got verbal programming, things we hear, modeling, things we've seen people do. So that might be a cartoon or a film or something, but equally what our parents did with money, how they handled money.
Do they buy a lottery ticket every week in the hope that they're going to win money? Do they say, oh, one day when we win the pools, like I must have heard that every week, we didn't put the bloody pools on. So there's all these things that our parents do. Did they go and go, oh, we don't really have the money, but we'll take out a loan and put the car on a credit card? Is that what we saw? Or did we see our parents saying, no, I do this all the time, we can't afford it? So we don't have the money yet, but we'll find a way. We go, no, we can't afford that. And that's all conditioning that our kids then go, can't afford. You know, when you were saying, Patty, about your son believing you're poor, there probably are things that you just said, no, we can't afford that. Of course. Because that's what we say. That's our first port of call, is we can't afford that. We don't say, we don't have the money for that yet. How can we figure out a way to get the money and get them to problem solve?
Yeah.
We don't do that with our kids. Nobody did that with me.
I do a mix of a lot of, we don't have the money. And then also like, okay, these are the things we need to do to get the money, or these are the things we can do when we have the money, or we need to save for that thing or whatever. I do a mix. Obviously they hear like just the surroundings of the conversation in the household about like, well, we don't have money to do this, we don't have money to do that, you know, we can't eat out this week, you know, because it costs money, blah blah blah. But then I also tried to help with, like, my kids have been saving since the day they were born. They all have more money than me right now. They are like invested in money, and then they know they have money, but they know they're not allowed to touch it yet.
There we go.
Yeah.
So all of that verbal conditioning, you have to save up your whole life to have more money than me.
Yeah.
So you now have more money than me, but you're not allowed to touch it.
Yet.
Because if you touch it, that's bad.
Yeah.
Like all good intentions, every step of that sentence that you just said was with great intention, great love, great generosity, saving for their future. That whole sentence is stuff that make kids go, right, so it's taken me, mum, my whole life to build money for me. So she's had to sacrifice herself to build money for me because she's got no money. And the money that I do have, I'm not allowed to touch it because I can't be trusted with money. Do you see how that builds these belief systems that we don't even know we're doing?
Yeah.
And we do it to ourselves. We do it to other people. We've had it done to us.
And then the final one of the three, so we've got verbal, we've got modeling, which is copying, basically, what other people do. And then there is specific incidents. So specific things that happened normally during our childhood that lead to these deep held money beliefs. Now, normally the strongest beliefs are created by the most emotionally charged incidents. So it could be any number of.
Well, Tony Robbins was telling a story on a podcast recently where the thing that changed a lot of his life was that somebody turned up at the door and on Thanksgiving and gave them food, and his stepdad went absolutely mental and said, we don't want that. We don't take charity. We're not going to have that. And the guy kind of persisted and said, no, your family needs to eat. We know you don't have food. We know you're in a difficult situation. Here's the thing. And Tony took that on to go, oh, wow, people want to help us. His dad was like the opposite. We're not charity. We're not accepting that. But Tony took that in as, this is something that people want to help us. So I've been helped. So I want to help other people. So when he started making money, immediately he started taking gifts to people on Thanksgiving and giving them baskets of food because of the experience he'd had. Now that was a positive one because that's how he took it. He could have been like his stepdad and gone, my stepdad says we don't accept charity and we struggle and we suffer. So therefore we're not going to do any of that good stuff. We're just going to struggle and suffer and not eat and not accept help and not collaborate and all the rest of it. So these things can go either way.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that, when you were young, someone came to repossess the family telly, for instance. That would create, for a child, that would create an emotional, specific incident that would create a belief system.
Or a parent lost a job and then therefore they couldn't do that, or they had a gambling problem. Like in our family, my grandpa went to sea, and when he came back, he would spend it was because he was a fisherman, it was very touch and go whether they got paid or not. They didn't ever know. And if he did get paid, he would come back and he would kind of splurge it on all sorts of things and then there was 7 kids to feed. So that builds up generational stuff.
So the next exercise on page 5, and we're going to give you 3 minutes to do this, is in the box that says verbal. I want you to write down everything about money, wealth, and rich people you heard growing up. It could be things like, money doesn't grow on trees. It could be anything like that. So we're going to...
Do you think I'm an ATM machine?
Yeah. Do you think we're made of money?
Do you know how hard you got to work to get this sort of money?
So 3 minutes. Keep that pen moving because it will unlock more memories and more memories and more memories. Go for it. And come back to us. And we'll have a quick fire round the room. Let's have one each. Patty.
Oof, just one. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh God. I this is interesting now as a parent to see more. Like I never felt like anything was financially a problem or understood all of it at the time. But at one point, my dad gave us each $100 bill under our plate at the table after a long period of stress when he was passed over for a promotion and he finally got the promotion in the back pay. He felt like he must have owed us for being poor or stressed or something and wanted to like be giving, and gave us this money, then we could do whatever we want with it. And yet I didn't actually feel like I was suffering or that it was a problem or whatever. So like as a parent seeing now, he must have felt that like I feel with my kids, and it's interesting how I received it at the time versus how I understand it now.
Did he say anything about the money?
He said it was, basically that he had gotten his promotion and that he wanted to share it basically with us.
Yeah. So it's no wonder you want to do that for your own kids.
Yeah. Well, we were taught to save. Like,
yeah. Joe.
It was quite positive. I mean, we didn't have a lot, but it was never a no. It was always a, well, let's see next month, or let's see in 6 months' time, or, that kind of thing. So there was never an issue. We were
There's always a
resourceful.
pause, then it would always be later.
Yeah. And if it didn't happen,
money was always in the future.
Yeah. It was, well, not necessarily. I mean, if it could have happened at that time, it did. But, I'm a 70s kid. There wasn't a lot to have. Nobody had anything. It was all homemade or handed down or. So my early childhood, there wasn't actually anything to have. But it was never really an issue.
Ros.
So we didn't have a lot of money growing up. My dad's relationship, a bit like what you were saying, Jenny, with your granddad. So him growing up, my granddad, who I never met, his dad, after the war, his reaction to it, he just went to alcohol, so drank away the money to the point that bailiffs would come to the door for money. And my dad, being the eldest, would be the one that would have to speak to them. And he'd say his mum wasn't in. And they're like, yes, she is. Make her come to the door, but didn't. So he had to deal with that. So his thing is all about just deal with cash. They didn't take out a mortgage. They didn't have any loan. They didn't use debit cards. It was purely cash. And growing up, there wasn't much money, so there was lots of no's. Couldn't afford branded stuff. So I got bullied at school for what I wore or didn't wear. And a lot of stuff was bought out at charity shops. So it took years to be willing to go into charity shops because of what I'd had as a child. So
and what phrases did you hear? Give us a phrase.
Phrases. It was kind of it was no savings was always a big thing. I remember that their weekly outgoings was actually more than the incomings, but my mum had inherited some money from my granddad, and so they had that as a cushion. I once wanted to get flute through the school so you didn't have to pay VAT, but it was bad timing with my dad had the car serviced or something, which I didn't know at the time. I was surprised he said no because my brother had got an organ, a year or so before. And my brother was sneaky with money, like sort of twos and ones and 5p's, you gather them up and there'd be 95p. And he'd ask mum to swap it for £1. Well, I would never do that. It's like it would have to be £1 to swap. My brother's like, oh, I'll get a few little extra pennies. It sounds so trivial now. But I didn't like that. I like everything to be very orderly. My brother and I had the same bank account opened by our granny, and I would always put a little bit more so that I had more than him. That's where I'm competitive, is growing money.
So
strange.
The phrases aren't actually important. What's important is you knew, so what you heard was the whole story even though your granddad died before you were born, you knew the whole story of your dad's money. That was what was important, was what you heard was the story from your dad. It was passed down to the next generation. And I'm sure you told your kids, so that's been passed down to the next generation. Yeah. And this is how generational money mindset works, is that you were told a story.
Yeah. But it's more than just a story, because there was still the fear. The fear was still there in my dad.
And stories are full of emotion.
And even Jamie and Lucy, my children, saw that. They knew he was just about cash. It hadn't left my dad even when he was older and retired, and actually retired at a comfortable level for the week, because they don't spend much money, my parents. And now it's just my mom. She spends even less. So they have witnessed it as well as me passing on the story.
Sam, what have you heard about money?
Thank you. My parents will always say money does not grow on trees. No, when you said it the other time, I was just laughing, because it's we are united by the mindset was the same, but the language was different, because my parents will always use the native language, our native language, Yoruba, to say to us that money doesn't grow on trees. And they will say something like, money is not easy to get, and it's hard to get, something like that. But while growing up, while from the age of, let's say 1 to 5, while I was growing up, right before I was 5, cash flow was stable, there was abundance, and everything was going well. Then my dad got into some investments that failed, and from that moment, everything become unstable. And that was when I couldn't get some things that I wanted then, just because there was no cash, and my dad would just postpone it. Okay, get it by this so time, get it by this so time, but those times never come. And I just got adapted to that kind of lifestyle, and we kept moving with the family despite the struggles and all. And then the mindset shift was when I got into the university, because my university is a bit far from our house, and I started attending a church, and our pastor would keep saying that, okay, if money doesn't grow on trees, then why do banks have branches? So it's just like a counter, to counter the mindset we already have. And from that time, I started studying financial books. I started listening to podcasts on money and all. So that was just like a mindset. It took a number of years for me for that mindset to finally shift. So,
did you ever hear there's an echo. Did you ever hear, out of interest, if you study hard and you get good grades, then you'll get a better job? Did you ever hear that at all from parents?
No. My parents are.
Lots of us do that to our kids too. We say, "Oh, you got to study hard, because then you'll be able to get a good job."
Yeah. So my parents are like, okay, study hard and do well, but not really get a good job, because as at that time, there's this a wave in Nigeria where everybody feels education is no more beneficial, and the number of opportunities are gradually reducing. So my parents would be like, okay, let's learn a skill and do well in your academics and still do well in your skills. So it's just like you're picking two things and doing well. So whatever works for you, you go for it. So that's the kind of mindset my parents gave me then.
Great. It's good to see there's some shift.
Yeah. So next page 6, we want to get down our modeling programming. So in that box, I'd like you to describe your family situation and particularly each parent's habits, ways of thinking, and being around money as you were growing up. And I want you to say who you might be most like or opposite to. So chances are you will handle money in either identically or an exactly opposite way to one or a combination of both of your parents. So see if you can work out who you're most like or who you're most opposite to. We'll do 3 minutes again. Go for it. 30 seconds left. As ever with these processes, you can come back to this in your own time if you wish and do more. We've actually been through this process ourselves several times over, and every time it's brought up new things. So it's worth revisiting every now and again. Great. And come back to us. Who are you most like or most opposite to, Joe?
I think I'm like both of them. I'm very resourceful. If I haven't got something, I do find a way to get it within my thermostat. Grafter, dad. I'm a grafter. And a rescuer. So yeah, I'd say I'm pretty much both.
How do you feel about being a grafter?
I actually don't mind it because I do like grafting in a way, but as I've got older, I've realised it doesn't really get you anywhere without other skills attached.
Yeah, because lots of people work hard and never earn anything.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I get a bit annoyed when I hear people saying I work really hard. I think, well, lots of people do, but some people are working probably twice as hard as you, and they've got nothing compared to what you think working hard is, and you've got. So there's value put on what you do,
yeah,
which I do, you know.
If the formula was work hard, every nurse in the world would be a multi-millionaire.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the working hard thing. It makes me a little bit cross. But you know.
Yeah, but we can really latch onto those things as we're growing up. And people have a lot of pride in being a grafter a lot of the time too.
Well, yeah, because it's linked to providing, isn't it?
Yeah, so, and identity and status and all sorts of things.
Patty, who are you most like or not like?
I'm most like my mom. She was the one who did all the money. She did the investments. She taught us, you had to split your money 3 ways: to save, to spend on the bills, and to use the rest for extras. And my dad always thought we just had money and had no reality check of it, but he was the more generous one. He would just freely give. Loved to spend money. He was definitely a giver, but he relied on my mom to make sure the money was there. So it's kind of similar to my marriage.
I was just gonna say, are we seeing
now I see like what's happening here. But I think too, I also witnessed, I had one set of grandparents that were overly wealthy, and they would send money, but we never saw them. Then we had another set that would send like $5 or $1 and a card for our birthday, but they would come see us. And yet the ones that were less giving in that way lived longer, but my grandmother was way unhappy. So it's like I've seen the dichotomy of like giving and not giving, and like where you value that as an interesting, like you can't put stock in it. It's kind of your own experience. And
this is so important.
It doesn't equal, money doesn't equal happiness, and happiness doesn't equal sadness or charity or whatever. It's just like you have to make of it your own.
This is essential though, because this is where our thermostat gets set. Mm-hmm. So again, picking up on the language, I had a grandmother who was overly wealthy. Just the fact you use the word overly with wealthy says that was a problem. Mm-hmm. They had more wealth than they needed. That grandmother was not a very nice, loving, giving, emotional, connected grandma. So your other grandparents who were emotionally connected and didn't have anything, that all creates little webs of thoughts and beliefs and values. And, oh, well, the nice grandma didn't have money. And I want to be nice. So let's be subconsciously loyal to that system, because if we're loyal to that system, that means we're going to disconnect and we're not going to be happy, and we're just going to have over wealth. These things are so important, and we never pick them up because we never think about it until we make you think about it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And the idea of today is that we're writing all these things down, so then you can sit there and you can decide now. You can make a decision about what beliefs you're going to take forward into your future, and which ones you're going to hand back to your past. And it might take some time, and it might take some effort to go, do you know what? That belief or that thing I experienced or heard or saw isn't going to help me anymore. So thank you, Grandma, for sharing that with me and it helping me get to this stage. But for my next stage, it's not going to help me. So thanks. I'm going to leave it here. So, sorry, more people. Carry on.
Everyone out. Rosalind.
Sorry, Sam's doing some DIY in the hallway and I didn't know if you could hear it at times, so I just put myself on mute. A bit like Joe, I would say I'm a cross between the two. So my mum just wouldn't spend money. Proper Aberdonian, just really, held on to money. And it's interesting sort of thinking back a bit when when you were saying about your dad having given you, $100. Well, there was one time my dad had offered for my brother and I to have £50 to be able to decorate our room however we wanted to do it. But he clearly hadn't spoken to my mum, who dealt with the money then. And it turned into a no. And I still remember, because I was so excited. I wanted to do interior design as a job anyway. I was so excited. And that was taken away. And so my dad was the one that, despite everything I said earlier, he would still spend more money than my mum. And then his way, and he only explained these last few sort of years, the reason why he would buy something secondhand was that was his way to be able to buy quality. So you couldn't afford a new leather sofa, but he got a secondhand one. And so he liked quality. And that definitely has passed on to me. And so I do hold on to money, and I'm through this wondering if I stifle things a bit, because like my mum, she held on to money and it stifled things. But also I am willing to spend on quality because I feel that's worth it. So I'm kind of a cross between the two. But it's been a really interesting exercise, I have to admit.
And given that this is a money mindset and a vocabulary, we're going back to the vocabulary. So we have put a whole city of Aberdeen in a box.
Oh, yeah. It is known they're worse than Yorkshiremen for not spending money.
So there we go. So my dad's a Yorkshireman. That is always an excuse for being tight with money. Well, I'm a Yorkshireman. Yorkshiremen are tight with money.
My mum was naturally. I don't think she did it because it was an Aberdonian thing.
No, but you can see how these things perpetuate, because if that whole district is named as that thing, lots of people, that will leak into their psyche.
I suppose her parents had more money than my dad's side. It's
not about how much money you've got.
Yeah,
no.
It's
and to be fair, the clothes she had wearing up, they would buy like 2-3 sizes bigger so that she would wear them for a few years. And they owned a farm, so yeah.
It's about how things leak into the environment that you're in, can dictate how you think about things. it's about the kind of that leaking.
You definitely need to write down on one of your sheets the phrase proper Aberdonian, because the other thing about that phrase specifically is it's identity based, which is one of the strongest belief systems there is. Because if you're not that, you're not proper.
No, even though I grew up there and got an Aberdonian mum, well, slightly outside Aberdeen, but still, yeah.
So somewhere in your subconscious, there is a money file that says, if I'm not like that, I am not proper.
And I don't belong.
I know, no. I see it as I'm breaking free from it. I see it as actually, this is positive. I'm not going to be defined by that. That's what my mum is defined by, but I'm not. That's kind of
that's good.
Where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Which is where people go the opposite way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do save, but that I feel like gives me security, and then freedom down the line when I need to buy something.
Because some people just completely swing the other way, as you say, to break free from those things. Sam, what about you? Who are you most like in your money? Your mum or your dad?
My dad.
Okay.
So, yeah, my dad likes spending. So when he gets some money, just sometimes he buys things that are not even necessary. But right now I'm opposite. But before I was like that also. So I just buy. Sometimes when I see things, even things that I just feel this thing just attracts me. I just get it, and I discover that I don't actually need it at the end of the day. So I'm opposite at the moment because it's best to save before spending. Yeah.
It's good to be in the middle, and so we can sometimes swing completely the opposite way. So we have to be kind of careful not to do the full swing. I had one parent who loved to spend. We can always find the money. It'll be fine. No, don't worry. You only lived for today. And then I had another parent who was save. And what happened for me as a child, and it took me 40 plus years to work this out, is I got stuck in the middle. So I'm going,
like a yo-yo.
Who to be loyal to? I don't know which one to do. So what did I do with money? Nothing. I would go, la, bank account. No, let's not look at that. Or let's not open that letter. Let's just ignore that. So I ignored money.
Thanks, Joe.
Because I didn't know which one to do. Thank you, Joe. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye, Joe.
Yeah, nice. I didn't know which system to follow. So I didn't swing in any direction or against any direction. I sat in the middle going, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to manage money and I don't know how to deal with money. So let's just ignore it because it's just a thing.
Yeah.
So they can all impact us in different ways.
So last one then, and we'll give you 3 minutes for this one before we wrap up. Specific incidences. Write down a description of an early emotional incident involving money.
So for you, Sam, it would be like your dad losing an investment and that causing a big problem. There might be others, but that would be an example.
And once you've written down a description of it, what conclusions you came to as a result of that incident and how are they affecting you now? Because they are. If you came to conclusions, those conclusions affect you now. So 3 minutes.
What have you got, Roslyn?
So I've gone back to the one I was saying before about sort of the clothes that I wore. So and in my mind, it's my mum that I've picked out mainly because she was the one I went shopping with to buy stuff when I'd be at work. So it was my mum not understanding that I was being bullied because of not having branded clothes. So it would be Nick's trainers as opposed to Nike. So my conclusion from that is to sort of wear sort of middle fashion clothes so you don't stand out too much, so don't get bullied or anybody kind of judging. Although now that I'm creative, I do tend to wear some more creative clothes. The other thing that I found from that was that actually, when I did buy Nike trainers, once I've had my own part-time job and could buy my own, they lasted longer, like years longer. So I was kind of like, that's when I started to realize quality is worth it. It's not always just a brand. Um, so yes, when it comes to certain clothing, I will go for a certain brand because I know it does actually mean quality. So that's what I thought.
Good. How about you, Patty?
I like what you said, Joe, because that's so true. And I had that in my family as well, because we could only we had a budget, and if we wanted more, we had to use our allowance to go for the higher item, and you had to pick and choose what that item would be. But I would say we had to do chores all summer long, all the time, where other families were going on vacations and we didn't. So I felt like we had less family bonding time at critical ages of development with my siblings, and maybe even with my parents. But I think at the time, I didn't recognize it so much as, oh, poor us, we're not having fun, because we grew up at very young living in Europe and moving around our whole childhood. So we had those experiences, but they weren't fun. They were just life. So I never felt like I missed out on like going to Paris or going here or Italy, because I did that when I was a child. Those are my first memories. So I didn't feel like I missed out on that. But I think as I got older, I realized not doing those fun things or different things with my siblings, say after the age of 8, that there was a critical time we could have been closer or had different experiences, because of developmentally we were just doing chores and doing mundane, like just living, kind of thing. And so for me, I have purposely, when we had no money, when we didn't have enough money, I've made sure that my kids are very well traveled and that they see family that live in France and in Scotland, and they've gone all over in the US, based on, like, I know developmentally the ability to travel and understand how to feel okay in the world and not be scared of something different, is going to be better for them long term, which meant more to me than us being financially okay.
Interesting. How about you, Sam?
Okay, all right. So basically, the incident was the failed investment, and I have to adapt to that lifestyle. And the conclusion I came to then was, I would say, I came to two conclusions. It's kind of negative and positive in a way, because I came to the conclusion that I I will never get some things I want, because most times when I try, it just looks like those things are far ahead of me, and I can not get it. So, but positively, I told myself that I still had hope, and whatever I'm doing, I must make sure I become rich at all cost, because I have I'm a pace setter. Like, I have a younger brother and I'm the first son. So, and most times there's a kind of cultural thing here that as a first son is more responsibility on you. So that was the conclusion I came with there, and how it affected me, like made me want to become a better version of me. I'm always open to learning and learning new things. And I told myself that when I'm building my own family, I'm going to definitely let them know about financial literacy from their from when they are young. So yeah, so that's basically it. But one thing that happened to me then was fear of taking risk. I don't want to, even calculated risk, I don't want to take them. So
I was going to ask you what your conclusion was about investment.
So my conclusion about investment, that I I don't want to invest at all. And no, that fear is still even there now. The conclusion is there, and I don't want to have anything to do with investment just because of that experience.
Which is really understandable. One of the things that we've been learning a lot about is about investment, and how investing is one of the only ways you will build lifelong wealth in a lot of ways. So it is very, very difficult when we've had those early years, or any time, investments that have gone wrong and caused such bad detrimental effect to you and the family, to then risk investing again. But if we don't invest, our money can't actually grow. We don't really own anything. And so there's a real conundrum there. I'm really, really, really risk averse. So even though I've done loads of investing learning over the last couple of years, I still haven't decided what my investment avenue is, because I'm kind of going, oh, I know I need to invest, but I don't really know what feels safe. And so that's my money mindset stuff that I still have to work on, which is where my score comes down from the 100%. It's all around the investing stuff. But I know from a lot of the stuff we've listened to, from your age bracket, you could do a really small amount every month without it impacting your life at all and build great wealth, which is one of the things I really want to teach my kids, is that if you start from young enough and put small amounts away, that can build huge wealth without putting all of your, getting to our age and going, right, now I need to invest 100,000 in this thing, which is probably what your parents did. What your dad did was take a huge lump of the family pot and put it into something that then failed. So if you start now, you can do small increments that will have a compound effect, so that when you're older, it will have built wealth naturally. So you're at a completely different starting point.
A very sort of well-respected American money expert was saying only last week, and I thought it was fascinating, was that if you start in your late teens, early 20s, and you invest in the stock market, just 1 hour of your wages, your first hour of wages every day, which is, for many people starting out in their 20s, they're probably minimum wage, they're working in shops or things like that. So it's not a lot of money, actually. But if they do that from that age, they are guaranteed to be a millionaire by the time they are 50. It's impossible to invest that every day and not be a millionaire when you hit 50, which is amazing. I wish someone had told me that.
I'll send you the podcast episode, Sam. It's really good. So Matt had an incident when he was 18 where he went to the bank manager and said, how can I set up a pension? How can I start investing? Because he was earning a lot of money at that age. And the guy just went, oh, just go and enjoy yourself. Why are you worrying about that?
He said, you're way too young to be worried about that. Go and blow your money, have fun, and then come back when you're 30.
Yeah, that one piece of advice changed a whole a whole thing.
No, I've been working with a financial advisor since I was 19 years old, and it's incredibly important to have like that outside perspective of like, especially if you're nervous. I don't like to lose money at all. Like, So it's really helpful. And I happen to find after several or whatever going through that we've had the same financial advisor for more than 20 years. And he's just super generous with his time to really explain it. And he'll just say, Patty, you're freaking out, chill out. Like, you got to let it sit or you got to pull it out. You can't be looking at it every day or whatever. This is a long-term strategy. This is something you can do this or that or whatever. And like, he's been amazing at helping with that emotional part of your relationship with money and understanding and then respecting like where your limits are and like that. And I've just set him up with my daughter who's 18, so she can be investing her money and that kind of thing. And it is, I think, the sooner you invest, and even now, like even at our age, the more we can invest in things, even if they're shorter term, you cannot get wealthy without investing it.
And the most successful investors always start, this is something that was really drummed into us by our trainers, always start by learning how to minimize the risk first. Before they learn how to grow the money, they learn how to minimize the risk of the money. Mm-hmm. So, and that is the mistake that most amateur investors make, is they go in to grow the money as the first primary thing, whereas actually the first primary thing is to reduce the risk of losing it. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing that you learn is how to grow it. So, but I totally get it, Sam. I totally get it. It's those incidences, particularly when we're young, that can set us up like on the wrong foot or the right foot.
Yeah.
So we're going to end up by saying, look back through everything you've done tonight and just put some crosses and ticks next to things that you want to take forward as beliefs that are going to help you, or the ones that you want to leave here or hand back to relatives or cultures or the TV. And I want to just read a couple of statements, which are at the end of the workbook, so you can read them yourself as well at another time. But our trainer, a Canadian guy, T. Harv Eker, who is considered to be one of the sort of greatest money mindset sort of gurus of our time, really, has one phrase for all of this stuff, and that is, do not believe a thing you think, because you are a story machine. Okay, your beliefs and are not based on truth. They are based rather on your personal interpretations and misinterpretations of the truth. So just remember that nothing we believe is actually true or false or wrong or right or good or bad. It's all our interpretation. And I'm sure you know that, two people can go to a concert and experience a completely different thing. It's neither one of their experiences is wrong, right, true, or false. It's just their interpretation of that experience. And that is the same with all of our money programming. So the next statement is, nothing has meaning except for the meaning you have given it. So the phrase about proper Scotsman or proper Yorkshireman or whatever has no meaning at all. It's just a set of words. It's the meaning that we give it. So you've given it a meaning of break out, Muslin. Another person might give it the meaning of be stuck. So nothing in the world has meaning other than the meaning we give it. And with all of these things, when I'm saying it's what you believe is not wrong or right, a lot of your brain will be going, well, what I believe is right, because I believe it, right? So I've got two final lines to say to you today. You can be right or you can be rich. You can be right or you can be happy. That's it. You decide. Good?
Excellent.
So the next session, which is for premium members, is going to be, I'm going to do some NLP stuff around some of the beliefs that have come up. So really powerful.
So next Wednesday, our group coaching session, we'll do the normal bring your problems, but we will bring some specific beliefs from this that you want to deal with, because some stuff will definitely have come up tonight that you go, I've got to shift that.
Mm-hmm.
And some stuff might come up the next few days now that you've been thinking about this. And fun exercise for you, I want you to walk around the next few days with your eyes and ears wide open and see how many programmings are coming at you every minute of the day from TV, radio, people, about how getting rich is bad, how rich people are bad, how accumulating wealth is not a good thing, how poor people are the souls of the earth and the good people of the world. You know, you've only got to look at something like, you know, any Dickens book, you know, a Christmas Carol or whatever it is. You know, poor Bob Cratchit with no money is the good guy, and the rich, evil Scrooge, you know, with the money is the baddie. Just go through the next few days with your ears and eyes wide open and see how many things pop up when you go, oh my God, I never even noticed that before. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, happens all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry we kept you quite late. But it took longer to fill in the questions, I think, than we anticipated. But thank you for staying on with us. And there's a replay in the premium.
Yeah, so there'll be a replay in the vault within 24 hours. I think 48 actually is what we said. With the workbook, if you need it. Please do go into the group and post your experience of tonight and what your takeaways are, or what your leave behinds even are from today.
Yeah, go and leave some stuff behind, because we don't need to take it with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Great.
Have a good
Thanks
night.
so much, guys. Bye. Thank you.
Good day, Patty.
Bye.
Take care.